I don't know. Sounds cool. I have feedback from Mike. So he started. When did you start in real estate?
I started in 2014. 2014. So 8 years ago.
2014. Doing acquisitions, right? One of the things, the first thing that I heard about Luke was that he would sit there for hours on the dialer, and then be cold calling people, which is just absolutely savage on its own. But he'd be playing Madden and like video games and closing deals while playing video games. They're like, that's brilliant. Like, you don't get bored. You're doing what you want. You're making money. Like,
the deals went up once I started playing Madden. Because it's one of those things where, like, how it all. I guess we can. Do you want to start on we can start from the beginning, or I can just dive into from Madden, because that was I didn't actually start playing Madden until probably about 2 years into being in real estate.
You're ruining my intro, bro.
Sorry.
Without further ado, we have Luke Rotvold.
Hey guys.
Yeah. All right, and this is me getting into the podcast space. All right.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah. Can you guys hear us okay without the mics? Do we need the mics?
I don't think we do.
Yeah, I think we're
I was
good.
thinking the same thing.
I don't like holding this up.
Well, I don't know. I feel less important with our mic. Yeah, we were. So you started in 2014. You were doing cold calling, which is one of the things that most people are afraid of, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
it's analysis paralysis kicks in. Before real estate, what were you doing? How did you get started with the whole desire of wanting to jump into something like this? Because it's competitive as hell.
So I was bartending and serving. So I did that at the Hyatt Gainey Ranch. I was there for like 5 years. And then actually my wife, she wasn't my wife at the time. She was my girlfriend at the time. She started working with Brent Daniels, and she was on his team, just, on the sales team. And I used to go to, they would have like Brent likes to drink. I'm sure you guys know that.
We've had a few beers. Brent Daniels, right? Yeah.
But anyway, so they would do like, just little get-togethers with their team, and they'd be like, yeah, bring your spouse, bring your boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. So I'd go, and I really hit it off with Brent and his partner at the time, which was Dustin Longer. And so it was not like real estate was not super easy then either, though. Like they had just kind of started doing wholesaling, and Brent told his story about how he found out about wholesaling. Which is pretty cool too. He had a project where he was selling it to someone, and they told him, yeah, we'll pay you like 1.5% to bring us a deal. So he did that, and then he saw the settlement statement, and they ripped off like $30,000, and he's like, what? what is that? And so that's kind of how I actually ended up starting getting into wholesaling at the same time with Brent, with him and Dustin. So the rest of the team left. Me and Sage, my wife, we weren't going to work together for the same company. So she went and did something else, and I ended up kind of taking her place and ended up working with Brent and Dustin. Long story short, on that side, it was the three of us, and that partnership kind of ended up breaking just for some other reasons. Brent went his way into coaching, Dustin went his route into flipping, and then I went with my business partner, who I have now, Jake Landis, and we started literally just from the very bottom, just started wholesaling, and then, as you guys know, wholesaling turns into flipping. We took like the typical route that people take.
Yeah.
You want to start wholesaling, but then you don't have a lot of money to do it. So you start as cheap as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And then from that point, once we started having a couple wholesales come in, we're like, okay, we might have enough money to do a flip now.
Yeah.
Right. So then we did, got into flipping, and then from that point, it's just gone,
Yeah.
We've just gone down the road.
So one of the things that and I think Jerry, we're talking about this on the live today, but the way Jerry Norton puts it, it's your freshman year, you're wholesaling, right?
Yeah.
Your sophomore year, you're fix and flip type of stuff, and then your junior year, you tap into buy and hold, and then your senior year, you start to get into commercial stuff, and then you graduate into development and stuff like that from there. But it's kind of like the progression, which I think makes a lot of sense. I tried to start my sophomore year, and that didn't pan out well. Do you remember the first flip? My wife's on the back of the room. I mean,
she's like,
I remember. Yeah, I mean,
must have gone well.
She was in there painting the walls with me. Like, that's a horrible idea. And a nightmare of a place, horrible location and whatnot. But I think it's important to have that the trench work, right? Build a space, for the cushion through wholesale, monetize through
Absolutely.
wholesale, build a cushion, and then jump into other stuff like you did.
Well, it's easier to build that way too, because then you kind of know all the basics of it, right? You know, like, okay, once I know the basics of wholesaling, okay, I know how to negotiate now. I know that when I'm going to buy a deal to flip, I know that I can talk to this wholesaler now, and I know what's going on in his head of like, okay, well, he's just going to try to pull, rip off $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever that number ends up being. But it makes it easier when you know all aspects of the business to be able to, to move along to that next level. And so, I'm blessed that I had people in front of me that were very, very willing to like teach me, and that we worked with. And so when I was wholesaling, we sold a ton of houses to a few people. And then we got really, really close with those people that were flipping, or that were, Chris Lyman is another one of them that, that do like the master dispo side. Right. So once I got really close with these people, then you kind of start learning like, okay, like now that's how it works when you're flipping. And so the next level for us was we started working with people who were doing like developing and stuff like that. And that was a terrifying jump. Like, I'm just going to tell you guys, that was the first time that we ever did one. Jake and I did a duplex. It's downtown Chandler. And we went through 5 GCs. So everyone knows, 5. It should have taken probably 9 months to build. And we had it for 3 years and like 3 or 4 months was from start to finish. But we got lucky because in that over 3 years plus, the market was just continuing to climb. So you'll get lucky.
What, 2016, 15?
This was probably, this was 17 to 20. 17 to 20. And so we got lucky because, but again, sometimes when you try things out, you get lucky on it. And so, it went from what we had originally thought being worth like probably 400 to 450 when it was going to be finished. When we had it appraised in 2020, it appraised for 650,000. We were going to rent out each side originally when we were buying it and when we were building it. Our intentions were to rent it out for like 1,400 a side. We have each side rented out right now for 2,600. So it's like you can get lucky with stuff like that, but again, you're not going to get the chance to be lucky if you don't take the chance on something.
One of the other things that and that's absolutely true. One of the other things that we were talking about was cycles, right? We see things happen before they actually kick in. For example, we're talking about March and April, just throwing out red flags about what was going to happen, like in June, July.
100%.
And a lot of times, like, unless you're really in it, you're having, you're looking at properties and comping stuff on a regular basis and really doing the actual business, you miss out on a lot of those things. Were you actively looking at that kind of stuff when you branched out on your own and you started, wanting to switch strategies?
Yes and no. When we first branched out on our own, it was like really just throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks, right?
Well, that's my strategy.
Yeah, right. But no, you try all these different marketing channels, right? And you're like, okay, this one's too expensive for us right now. We can't do that. This one's not working. This one didn't work 2 months. Mailers, back when we were doing it. This one didn't work in this area for 3 months, 4 months in a row. So we just lost, 16 grand here, whatever it was. And so, you really, how we did it was we really would just go kind of one by one. We were always cold calling, so we were doing that the whole time. So that was the one thing that stayed consistent. And that's when I was telling you. So when I first started cold calling, I'd call like, probably like 2 to 4 hours a day. 2 to 4 hours a day, and I'd go off of how many contacts I made. So when I'd hit a certain amount of contacts, that number for me was typically like 50. Then I would typically be done for the day. And another like mindset.
You're calling 50 people a day, cold calling?
Yeah.
Or actually 50 conversations?
50 conversations.
Yeah.
And so a huge mindset shift for me was like, okay, I need to be calling a certain amount of hours, because there'd be days where I could call 50 people in 2 hours. There'd be days when it'd take me 4 hours to do it. And so I shifted to starting to call for, instead of making contacts, I would go for how many hours a day I was calling. So then when I switched to how many hours a day I was calling, which was 4, I started making like 80 to sometimes like 120 contacts a day. And like, you talk to 80 to 100, 120 people a day, trust me, you're going to get pretty damn good at what you're doing, because you have so much repetition. You already know what the sellers are going to say ahead of time. You already know, okay, I can't use this word. This word sets people off when I use it, and it's a red flag word. So you perfect your craft so much when you're being that repetitive doing something. And so that next step for me was when I was calling 4 hours a day. That was when I started. I was literally sitting there, and so I was like, man, this. I'm making a lot of contacts and it's great, but like this is boring as shit. And so that was when I started playing Madden. And then when I started playing Madden, I started calling for like 6 hours a day. And I was making like 150 contacts a day. So I mean, you make 150 contacts a day when the average person is making 20.
If that, man. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I talk to on a regular basis, and you know what, deals are hard to find, whatnot. Okay, what was your, how many conversations did you have last week, right? I was like, well, I called 5 people, they're not selling.
Call 5 more.
Yeah, well, you got to add a 0 behind that one.
Yeah.
That's one day.
No, for sure.
But yeah, it's a volume game at the end of the day. Who else is using cold calling as a strategy here? Yeah? How are you guys doing on that space?
That's our only marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not the sexiest thing, man, but I keep talking about it. It is a fundamental in our space. I know I dialed it back, and I've had that conversation with you where I dialed it back. I dropped the cold callers to just one caller, and I mean, it was the worst thing I could do, because then we got hit on the other side.
Yeah, for sure.
SMS stopped working, red flags went all over the place.
Yeah.
And then we went out of leads. We actually had to stop the SMS strategy for about a month, and it just crushed us when it came to lead count.
No, for sure.
Took the opportunity to rebuild the cold calling, and we're not dropping that ever.
Yeah. No, exactly. And it's everyone knows it's the most inexpensive way of marketing too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it really is. It's super inexpensive, and so it's like, if that's the route that's actually getting you in front of people and actually putting you on the phone with sellers, that's what you need to do.
Yeah. Now, so you've switched. Well, I don't want to say switch strategies. You guys are still wholesaling, right? So you added on.
So 2 or 3 years ago, we stopped wholesaling as much because we got to a point where we had crews that were willing to work for us, that wanted to work for us. We had probably done, maybe 10 to 15 flips, maybe in 2019, somewhere around there. And so when we were wholesaling everything, we were just obviously keeping track of the properties that we were selling, and we were following them through and seeing, okay, it sold for that, it sold for that. So we saw how much we were leaving on the table by not flipping. And we're like, we have contractors, we have crews who want to work. I am very, very passionate about design, so I love doing that. And so I was like, let's just try to start doing more flipping.
Have you guys seen his stuff? Do you guys follow this guy on Instagram? Go to his Instagram, not right now, because
right now.
But go to his Instagram. It's what, Luke _RO.
RO, yeah.
Yeah, Luke _RO. But like, he does crazy stuff when it comes to design. Like, it's one of the biggest differentiators I think that you guys have.
We were talking about. So I almost went into like architecture and design. I love design. It's one of my things I'm extremely passionate about, and we'll talk about that later in this talk too, because that's something that I'm kind of pushing on. But
he actually has tile right now in the trunk of his car.
Yeah.
So
just came from Floor & Decor.
Yeah, it's like, bro, you have 2 minutes. I want to show you something. We walked out so you could show me tile, because he's
crazy. It's
really
when you love
your
I don't know if it's gonna look good, but we're gonna try it. And if it doesn't, it's coming off the wall.
No, but I mean, that's the thing, right? It's not about just doing the transactional stuff. It's about enjoying the thing that you're doing and actually finding a way to play with it. Otherwise, what's the whole point, right?
Yeah. So anyway, so when we were seeing how much we were leaving on the table, we decided to start flipping a ton more. So we went from probably 15, 20 flips to, I think the last 2 years we've done 50 plus per year. We were on pace at the beginning of this year. This year was come all the way up to April, before everything really slowed down. We were on pace to do about 90 flips, and then obviously we dialed it back, because obviously we lost on. We're gonna lose on quite a few of our flips that we bought at, but it is what it is.
How I have 2 questions. One is, how are you pivoting right now? What's your strategy to pivot?
Yep.
And then 2, can give us a snapshot of what your overall business looks like.
Yeah. So one way we're pivoting is, we're not super analytical people, which you probably should be in this industry. If you are, you're gonna probably going to do
Are
better.
you guys still direct to seller?
We are, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So still direct to seller. But one of the big changes that we made is we, again, obviously dialed everything back, but we started looking at, okay, the markets that we are buying in, what is still moving? Like, because at one point we had 22 houses on the market just sitting. And so, we dropped all the prices on all of them just to kind of get a feel for it. And half of them moved and the other half did not move. And so what we found, we flip a ton up in northern Arizona. So Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, Flagstaff, Sedona, Dewey, Mayer, Cortez Lakes. We'll flip in all those places. So we started looking at what is the common denominator of things that will continue moving for us, and what is the common denominator of things that are just sitting on the market, just rotting and losing money. And so the common denominator for us was that everything that was moving was either A, marketed as an Airbnb, or it was B, under 400K or over $1 million. So the things are still moving,
Over
are
$1
$1
million, that's
million
interesting.
over. So that market, from what we have seen, is that market has not gotten hit. And so what we talked to another gentleman that I have a lot of respect for, that he does only $5 million and up flips. And it was very interesting talking to him because he said they have not seen a dip at all. But then again, he said it's all cash buyers. He's like, people who are buying $5 million homes, it's all cash buyers. They're not, you think they're worried about an interest rate, hike from 7 to 7.5?
Yeah.
They could give two shits. They're buying it cash. So it doesn't mean anything to them. So that's one thing. Then the other thing for us, like I said, anything under 400K, we pulled the full list of everything under 400K in our markets that we're looking at. Everything is pending. If it's decently renovated, everything's pending. So the market that we're getting crushed in is between 400 and 800. That market is the biggest difference because your ability to buy, those are the types of people that if they were originally looking for an 800K home, with the interest rate hike from a 3.5 or 4 to a 7.5, that $800,000 home for them is now, they can now buy a $500,000 home. And the market hasn't dropped that much yet from 800. The market is dropping, obviously, we all know that. It's probably come down, in my opinion, 20 to 30%, but it has not come down from 800 to 450,000. So that's why I think the market's so stagnant right now. It's because, especially between that 400 and 800. And guess what? What are most houses in the area?
Yeah.
Between 400 and 800. So I think that's why everyone's feeling it so much right now.
Yeah, the particular buyer pool is getting hammered. It's getting hammered. One, to pre-qualify for a loan. I mean, it's just even pre-qualify. It's tough.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had and when everybody saw it, especially through the brokerage and just traditional, right? Like you had people that got dequalified while they were in the closing process.
I know.
It's interesting to just keep tabs of what's the price points are huge. Days on market start telling you a lot when they start extending. That's a huge indicator. It's one of the first things they look at. We talk about days on market all the time. So right now you have, you selectively wholesale.
Yep.
You still go direct to seller. So are you still cold calling after everything that you're doing?
Yeah. So I still cold call, which people
Savage.
think I'm absolutely crazy. They're like, come on, you have a full team. Like, why do you still cold call? And my response every time is that for me to be able to stay on top of my team and like understand what they're going through, if I'm going through it every single day too, then I'm going to be able to tell them what to say. I'm going to tell them what moves to make, what changes to make in their conversations that they're having. So that's one of the reasons why I still cold call. The other reason is because if I spend a couple hours a day on the dialer, I'm going to get some leads out of it. So if I'm going to be able to pull some good leads out of there, because when I was just cold calling just for myself, I was probably pulling about 3 to 4 deals a month. And that was just from myself cold calling alone. And we were wholesaling on average. Our average wholesale for all those years was probably 24. It was 24 grand. And then once we started flipping, then our average flip went to about 55 grand. So it's like, if I think about it on myself, if I can cold call and still get 3 deals a month on my own, why would I not do that right now?
Yeah.
You think that noise
The mic? I don't know. Probably a little bit.
all right.
Can you guys hear okay back there? Do we go with the mic?
Okay.
No, you're good?
What systems are you using for cold calling right now? Tyler.
Mojo. I've used Mojo for 8 years, but I'm a creature of habit. So it's like, it's worked for me in the past, and so I still just and when I'm playing Madden, I still play Madden now too. It's like I'll call for a couple hours a day, and so I'm so confident with with my abilities to play Madden and cold call at the same time. I think because I'm so in tune with the dialer because I've been using it for 8 years, so it's like, it's
muscle memory at this point.
It's muscle memory. It's super easy. So yeah.
So you guys are still wholesaling, then you
I'm
have
not doing a lot, but I mean we're
cherry
obviously with the market right now. We're trying to wholesale more than we are flipping. And again, what we are flipping, we're making sure that it falls within those parameters of the properties that we told you that are still moving.
Okay. So as far as parameters, what are you guys looking at as like the ideal property to come in and flip? Because you guys are doing volume, which is, I mean, not a lot of people in Valley.
We're obviously, so where we're at right now with our business is we still have, I think we're down to 12 houses that were, 14. We just added 2 more. So we're at 14 houses that we're either under contract on trying to move or that we are rehabbing right now. So of those 14, like I said, they're the new ones that we've been purchasing over the last 3 to 4 months. They're all at the new numbers. And so our new numbers, when the market took that huge, the huge dip, we dropped everything 20%. We looked at ARVs that people were using and we said, okay, drop that 20%. And then we also started cushioning our profit margins. So if we were originally saying we're perfectly fine making, 40 grand or 50 grand on this flip, now we want to make 60 or 70 grand, just in case the market does continue dropping, so that we can kind of pad that.
And it's dropping at a rate of about 2.5% a month. Like it's still,
I can see that.
So that's where it's, over the last 4 months, it's been 5 months
for sure.
like that. Yeah.
So like I said, so we're trying to just move the properties that we have that are on the market right now. We got 2 under contract this past weekend, which was nice. I think we have of those, we're gonna have the ones that are left. I think we're gonna lose bad on 3 of them, and bad that'll probably be like 40, 50K each. And then we have 3 or 4 of those where if we can, get them at a decent price point of where they're currently at, we'll break even on them. And then the other 4 or 5, we should still probably make somewhere between 10 and 50.
What are those price points?
Yeah.
Of all of them,
Average, yeah.
all of the ones that are sitting on the market are all between 500 and 800. Every one of them, between 5 and 8.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah,
That's huge to make a note of.
yeah. So all between 5.
Taking notes.
I believe 5 and 8 is the biggest market
Have
getting.
you tried to market them if it's on terms seller financing?
We haven't yet. Yeah, I don't know a ton about seller financing, so
Just try it.
yeah. No,
I mean,
for
just
sure.
might as well. I mean,
No, I hear you for
you
sure.
never know. You might have people putting forth, 150 to 200,000 down on houses that they want that aren't makeable.
No,
And
for
they'll
sure.
pay a premium, and now you can actually make 300,000
Right.
instead of losing 50.
No, absolutely. That's very smart to get creative on it. But and then the ones that are moving, so we just put one on. We put one on the market last Saturday. We got 4 full price offers on it. One of them was a cash offer, closing in 2 weeks, waiving the appraisal, and that was a mobile home. So it's like the thing that we're seeing that's consistent is those low dollar homes. You got to keep in mind. We listed it at 290. So a 290 home, again, the difference between a 6 and a 7% interest rate for that home price, a buyer still wants. If it comes down to buying a house or renting, they don't care what the interest rate is. And at that price point, it's not that big of a difference. So that's what we're really hitting hard right now.
I think we have a property for you, actually. I'm thinking of one we have in Flagstaff.
Oh, perfect. Shoot it over.
No, I'm telling you, it's incredible how it works, right? Like, for example, you have somebody here putting on the table creative financing. You haven't really tapped into that, yet you're crushing it in different, areas. So, I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about having those conversations and, seeing how we can all collaborate with each other and level up.
Oh, for sure.
So besides the flipping, you also went into the buy and hold, right? Space.
Yeah.
So you have buy and hold, you have straight up rentals, and then you also have Airbnbs, right?
So we don't have any single family, just strictly long-term rentals.
Okay.
So the routes that we went, and again, that's Jake, my business partner, and myself. So something I'll kind of key into that here. So we had over the previous 3 years, every dollar that we made, and again, this is something for you guys all run your own businesses, but I mean, if you don't run a business and you're kind of getting into it, this is something to kind of take a look at and kind of decide. Everyone that I talk to that you know, in our industry, when they're making good money, you go one of two routes, in my opinion. You either put that money back into your business and you continue building out your infrastructure, your systems, your people. You either go that route, or you go the route that we went. And again, I don't know if it's right or wrong. It's however you want to do it. But we went the route of every dollar we made, we threw into properties. And we were buying our properties so well. So it was like, a lot of times we were no money out of pocket on these. You know, we're buying them at 400 grand, and at the time they were 600 grand or whatever it is. So you can get into it, you know, next to nothing out of pocket. But we dumped every dollar. We Jake and I laugh about it now because we rarely even paid ourselves, which was stupid. It's not smart. But we lived off of our rental income. And so all of our money went into these properties. So we accumulated, we have 40 rental properties now that we pretty much bought over the last 2.5 years. And so those rentals now, they're just our mailbox money that's been able to be huge for us as the market has dropped, to be able to kind of keep us, you know, in a good spot. So that was obviously huge for us. But
What type of portfolio is it? You said you didn't have any single
all
family?
Airbnbs or multifamily.
Okay, so you have units.
We've got
not-
multiple.
no
So we have
single family.
duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. Obviously, we're building. I'll get into that too. But we're doing developing now. So we're doing right now we have going on. We have a new build triplex downtown Chandler, a new build 10 unit in downtown or in Sedona, and then a new build 32 unit in downtown Prescott. So those are, and then
Those will all be Airbnbs.
all of the Sedona ones will be Airbnbs. The Chandler ones are going to be long-term rentals. And then the Prescott, the 32 unit, I think I haven't decided yet. I'm probably going to do 2 Airbnbs because there's 2 that are, I want to try it out. So I'll probably do 2 Airbnbs and then 30 long-term.
And the way that you do Airbnbs is different though, right? Like it's not, you don't really go out to, like you see a lot of Airbnbs in regular neighborhoods and stuff like that. But what I picked out from the stuff that you're or the ones that I've seen at least, I mean, you have very niched out, you know, Airbnb or a very niched out Airbnb process. I mean, you pick themes for them, you go heavy into design, so you get to play with them.
Absolutely.
And then you have strategic.
And you get to stay at them too.
Yes, I saw that.
The best thing about Airbnb is, guys, I'm telling you, if you get them in places that you like, so you can just go stay the block off the weekend and go stay there whenever you want. Kids love it. It's awesome.
And I mean, you have strategic locations, right? For all of these. What do you look for if you're considering doing an Airbnb with one of the properties that you have? Like what's the criteria, the checkboxes?
So we stay close to downtown areas, and we also, the Airbnbs that we've done so far, none of them are very big. So we kind of stay smaller Airbnbs because we feel like they're always going to stay rented out. And again, I'm not saying that it's wrong to have large Airbnbs. I'm just telling you guys what we do. I like something that's going to be safe. If it's a 2-bedroom and it sleeps, 6-8 people, you can still have 2 small families that are close, stay there together, and it's always going to be affordable. Our Airbnbs, we have, and the other thing that we look for is we try to stay close to downtown areas, like, something that makes it cool. So either downtown areas or our Airbnbs up north, they're all going to be like up in the pines where it's like a really cool feel. And so I've looked at all the Airbnbs in the areas that we're in, and I mean, a lot of our competition might be booked like 40 or 50% of the time, and we're on average booked about 85% of the time. And again, I think that that's huge because we spend the extra money on designing, we spend the extra money on the furniture, we spend the extra money on, just making sure that it's exactly how we want it to be and in the areas that we want to be. Because again, we've got them downtown Gilbert where we have people come and stay there, and they literally just, you walk downtown. You don't even, if you're going there to experience downtown Gilbert, you can literally walk 1 block and you're downtown, go get wasted, come back, and then, and do the same thing. So downtown Chandler, it's the exact same. We have the exact same thing there. And then our Prescott ones are either right downtown or they're up in the pines.
Man,
You have them in Flag too, or?
We don't have any in Flag. We're putting one under contract in the next couple of days that we're trying to decide if we want to turn it into an Airbnb or not. But it's on 2.5 acres and it's larger, so I don't know if it's something that I want to try out. And the reason I say that with the larger ones, obviously they can make a lot more on a nightly basis, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard from people that I know that have the large ones, is that they're not booked out super often Because if it's one where, you know, it sleeps 16 people and it's $900 a night, you're not going to just have that family that's like, oh, we're in town, let's go stay $900 a night with 16 bedrooms. Like, you don't need that. So that's part of the reason why we've kind of stayed away from the bigger ones. But again, you'll get, you know, bookings on weekends and stuff like that. But I don't do Airbnbs just to be booked on the weekends.
Yeah. Tell me about the way that you've been able to scale, like, progressively, right? Because I mean, you started cold calling, which you're still, you know, cold calling. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
But you've actually scaled, you know, from, you know, a handful of deals and then more deals, putting money into it, dealing with, you know, the whole risk, you know, issue and all that stuff. But how have you've been able to get to a point where now you're developing? I mean, you have multiple development projects. I mean, we're talking, you know,
for sure,
freshman, junior, high school, senior, you're at the college level. You know what I mean?
Well, I think a big part of it is obviously, you know, stuff like this, like you make connections, and when you make connections, they can open doors for you. You know, perfect example, you know, is Anthony. We met at Iman's poker night, right? And you never would have sent me that deal in Sedona if we didn't meet at poker night, you know? So it's like, there's things like that where, you know, as long as you continue networking, and I don't do enough of it. I'll be the first to admit I don't do enough of it.
Yeah.
But again, you put people into your business that are going to be able to you know, help push you. You know, that's one thing that's huge. The other thing is, you know, Jake and I started just the two of us. We did just the two of us for about 2 years. So I don't think that we like overgrew, and I don't think we grew too fast. We stayed with the two of us, and then, you know, we added the right person that was going to be able to take, you know, on some more marketing, or the person that was going to, you know, add another person that's going to be cold calling, stuff like that. So we still have a very small team for the volume that we were doing. And again, these numbers don't mean anything because the year didn't happen, but through the first quarter, we were on pace to do 5 million. But again, we have a team of 5 people. It's Jake, myself, and then we have three sales agents. So we have two closers, and we have one closer and 2, we call them just like junior acquisition managers. So they handle all the inbound leads that are coming in. Then they obviously, if it gets to that point, then they hand it off to the closer. So one thing that's huge, I don't think we grew too fast.
Who does operations? You got all this great sales, so who
Jake,
does all the operations?
My partner.
Yeah.
He does all the operations for our team. He puts all the systems in place. I kind of do more so the front of the you know.
Somebody's got to play video games.
I play the video games, you know.
Somebody's got to crush it in Madden. Come on.
So that's kind of how we're set up. He handles that. Goes obviously, like I said, to the acquisition managers, moves on to them, and then my closer, you know, he'll typically send right now I'm back to comping the properties again. We were kind of systemized where Jake and I took ourselves out of the equation, and we were just working on like the macro of our business of how we're going to continue growing and looking into other things. And then once we started slowing down a lot again, we're like, all right, let's put ourselves back into the system again and see what we can do. So we're a lot more into the day-to-day again now.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mind it though. Like it's, again, we're running a much tighter ship now, which I think everyone is. You know what I mean? There's not as much of that, like just blowing stupid money on dumb stuff, which we didn't do a ton of, but it was still like we'd have these phone sales coming in from contractors, and then we actually would start looking at the receipts, and we're like, why are you putting your tools on there? Like, why are you putting Gatorades on there? Like, we're doing these phone sales like 4 times a day, but you can get so consumed with the macro, with like seeing what's going on with everything else. And then you kind of start seeing what was happening too. And it's like, that's something to tell everyone too. Like keep track, if you are flipping, keep track of who's doing your rehabs and stuff. And so we had some talks with our GCs and like, hey, did you look at these receipts? Like, why are we paying for hammers? You know, like why are we paying for paintbrushes? Like, you guys are contractors, you guys have all this stuff. Yeah. And so we worked something out with him to get money back for all of the stuff they've been purchasing and whatnot. But
it may sound like something that's not that important, right? But it is. Well, one, it goes to show that sometimes we can get in these tight spots, and then we get back into that attention mode, and now we start really registering and paying attention to what's working.
Yeah.
Anything that's being doubled up on, and that you don't need all the excess, stuff that you have in the business. Yep. If you've ever done like Sigma or Lean or any of those things, it's the waste, right? But you
Yeah,
start
yeah.
to, you know,
Yeah.
get rid of that stuff. I mean, we just went through a few things there in my company, and it's like you get to a point where it's like, why the fuck was I paying for that for like a year and a half,
Yes,
and I never
exactly.
used it.
That's the stuff.
So yeah, it adds up. Like it's all that it adds up, and then it creates just behaviors that encourage that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And then next thing you know, you have this big beast that
Yeah.
is running heavy and fat all over the place.
No, for sure. So sorry.
What does the pay structure look like for your new acquisitions and your acquisition?
Yeah, so we do a base salary and then we also do commission. So I know there's a lot of other companies that do just salary, but like we've gone through a lot of employees over the past 8, we didn't do it so the past 6 years. And again, this is a high turnover industry, as you guys know. Like sales guys in real estate, one of the biggest things is that they're going to come learn how to do it and they're going to break off. That's what people get into this industry for at a young age. And then once they learn it, they're like, I'm going to go do this. So that's a whole nother conversation to have of hiring. The guys that we have now, we absolutely love. And it's because with this last round of hires that we made, we were very, very detailed with the questions that we asked them. And so some of the questions that we asked them were like, why real estate? And with that, like, what's your goals in real estate? And if their goals were like, oh yeah, like I want to do what you guys are doing, sorry, but it's not going to be a good fit for us because we're going to teach you everything and then you're gone and then we have to go through the whole process again. And training it's so expensive. It's so time consuming. There's a lot to it. And so we made sure that the people that we got this time were motivated, but that they were also not people that we felt like we're going to go behind our back after and just be like, let me just go start something on my own. So certain questions will kind of get those answers out of people.
It gets tricky, man, especially when you have bad hires. Bad hires are a lot more expensive than we think. Like if you have a base salary, well, I had a bad hire and you pay him, I don't know, $2,000 3 months or $3,000 a month. It's not the $10K that you spend on the monthly salary.
I know, yeah.
It's all the deals that they didn't catch.
It's
all the leads that they wasted when your cost per lead is, X.
And you talk about bad hires. We had a bad hire that worked for us for a year and a half. And yeah, not only just the cost of deals that you're losing, but we had a hire that literally stole leads from. He was siphoning leads.
Oh shit! Yeah.
He was siphoning leads from the systems, and then he was going out on his own. He went behind our back with another real estate company because he didn't know how to display, he didn't know how to sell anything, and he sold one of our deals for $80,000, wholesale it for $80,000. And this was a deal that I went on the appointment with him. Everything sounded really good and everything. And then we just trusted him to follow up with her and everything. And he's like, I don't know. She went cold. Like, I'm not sure what happened. And then literally about 3 weeks later, he had left. He left. He took all this stuff from the office. I'm like, what happened? And then we started putting two and two together. I heard through the grapevine that he went and started working with this other company doing stuff. I called the owner of that company. I was like, you know this guy? She's like, yeah, I do. He's like, he works for you now? She's like, yeah, well, we're doing some stuff together. And so I ended up looking up the property and everything. He wholesaled it for $80,000 and she helped him. So there's snakes out there.
Oh yeah.
Keep that in mind.
So with that, so if you were asking your team what their goals are, what's your end result? What are you trying to accomplish?
So
you're a flipper, you're a designer, and all that. Is there something bigger out there?
For what we want for them or for me?
For you guys, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like honestly, I'm super passionate about everything real estate, design as well. So I mean, like one thing that I was telling you about before. So we just got in contact with a construction company here in Phoenix, and they do custom builds up north. So one of the things that I'm talking with the owners of the company on Friday, and so they don't have the construction side in place up north, and so they got in contact with us, and we're going to talk about how the structure is going to look. So we might start doing these custom homes, and they're like super unique, really cool houses up north. And they're like, we already have a pipeline of all these leads, and we already have we already have 5 people right now that want to build these in Prescott, Sedona, Flagstaff, but we have no one to do it. We have no one to run it, no one to do any of that kind of stuff. Because he said that they had tried one in the past and it just didn't go well at all. So we're going to be talking about partnering with them and then running.
These are build-to-suits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you've already got it.
They have all the material. It's like, all the metals, because they're like really unique houses. So all the metals, all the glass doors, all the the super cool products, they have all of that systemized. They already have all the plans. They have certain sets of plans for everything. So they're like, we will literally take it through the city. We'll go for all that for you, and then you guys just start building them. So that's something we didn't talk about, but that's what we're gonna start. Well, I'm hoping we're gonna have that conversation on Friday. So could be another and again, right now, you heard all you hear is the word pivot right now. That's one of the things that we're pivoting into. We're looking into other things because the deals are not there where they were before, right? There's not the pipelines that they're not there anymore, or if they are, they're a lot smaller.
But it seems like you have like some of the fundamentals like in place, and you guys stick to them, right? For example, going direct to seller, the lead generation. A lot of times what happens is that, and I've been guilty of this, where, okay, I'm doing the grind work and doing the calls and, going on the appointments, and then you get, a few deals in the pipeline, hire somebody, and then you step away from that particular role. I'm not saying that you always have to do it if you don't want to, but you got to have the ability to, like, if it's needed, come back into it.
You
know what I mean? And then just restructure whenever required.
Exactly. So that's one of the ways we're pivoting, is getting into, potentially that. But the biggest way that we have so far, and this is what I tell you guys too, when things slow down and when you're having a hard time finding deals and deciding which route to go, is like, find whatever it is that you're really, really good at, or whatever it is that you're really passionate about, whatever your thing is. Like everyone, everyone's got that thing that that's their thing that they're extremely good at. So my thing, in my opinion, is design. So what we're doing is we're starting to partner up now with our contractors, and like, hey, I have a stupid amount of people that ask me for contractors, or like if we can do renovations. I'm not a GC, but I will gladly partner with my GCs, with my contractors. So we just did a flip with Brent.
He told me about that.
So Brent didn't, he doesn't have the contractor. He doesn't want to do that stuff. And so he's like, do you want to take over this the rehab on this? We did the rehab and it ended up going really well. So he's like, I'm going to continue looking for other ones, stuff like that. So partnering with people like that. We have a client, we have a person, what's the word I'm looking for? Someone that we know that's in Prescott. He wanted to do a $250,000 renovation on his cabin up in Prescott. And again, we're not trying to buy it from him. We're not trying to do anything. We had our contractors walk it with us. And so they gave us the job. So we're doing the full construction on a $250,000 renovation on a cabin. And again, I'm not a GC. This isn't like the stuff, that I'm used to, stuff like that. But again, we're pivoting, and I'm going to design it for him. And we're going to pick out, we're going to walk through it with him and pick all the finishes and all that kind of stuff. But again, we're finding other ways to get paid when it's difficult right now with projects.
Well, you have this ability to bolt on different strategies just because of the path that you've taken, right? Again, you have your stuff that hasn't moved, which is the lead generation, going direct to seller, sourcing the deals, and that thing keeps the rest of the engine going.
Right.
Now, if you break it down like systematically, you still have that sourcing, you still have that converting and acquisition stage. Your dispo is just different, right? Because you can go Airbnb, you can go portfolio, you can go wholesale, and then you can source out if it's getting slower. You can source out your services, and then get paid on that.
For sure.
So it's amazing, man. Like the whole conjunction of things that you're doing and how you've been able to compile them all into this one thing.
For sure.
It just works, dude.
Stellar. You have to get creative. Again, you got to get creative right now. That's
what I want to know is what I want to know. It's how did you end up paying that guy $100,000?
Well, if you know the full assignment fee.
Yeah, tell them the full assignment fee.
The full assignment fee was
$250.
Yeah.
All right, break that down. Can we do a just like a case study on
Okay,
on
let's
that?
do it.
All right.
So
You guys met. It was a cold, stormy night.
yeah, you were there.
What was it at Amon's?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh shit, I was there. Yeah. All right,
We
cool.
switched jackets. I was wearing.
Wait, yeah. I missed out on that opportunity. See?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We started talking, and I said, "Hey, what do you guys do?" He said, "You're flipping on north, but would love multifamily or development plays up there." And I just put it in my phone.
Yep.
And then when that came across, Iman's were looking at it, but they were taking forever to get back. Turns out that they unfortunately lost their general contractor. They passed away during it. And, they're dealing with all that.
So they were looking at your property. You had a
one in Sedona.
Yeah.
But since it was taking so long, and we had a very short window of feasibility period on it, then I started shopping around. I remember he was like, "I want development up there."
This is the dispo side. Can you tell us how you locked it briefly?
Yeah, it's fun. Another wholesaler was brand new. I think he was in the Astro program, just started, or maybe it was the Sub-2 program. Pace gave him a list. He started banging on the list and found someone that was in a distress situation. The project failed. She ran out of money because the first underground phase costed way more than she anticipated. So she was in distress and was going to lose the property. He took it to Pace. Pace said, not for me. They sent it to Brent. Brent said, no, not for me. They sent it to Neil. Neil was like, no, keep going. So he took it to Ingrid, who was in Sub-2. She knew I did land, so she brought it to me, and I looked at it and I'm like, oh, these numbers are pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's networking on networking on networking on networking.
Yeah.
Like you have 4 people talking about the
For sure.
same thing. All right, cool. I was curious about where the deal came from.
Yeah.
So fast forward to that beautiful night where you
yes.
guys met and started looking at each other in the eyes and
Yeah.
whatnot.
So it was very romantic. Lots of tequila
Yes,
involved.
lots of tequila. I remember. And so you took, you just, okay, cool. This guy does land. And then did you send him the deal just randomly because of that connection?
Yeah.
He said, I want multi-family development up there. And this one was shovel ready. It was actually already had all the underground done. All the work was already done and green tag. And the permits were going to expire in a month if something didn't start rolling.
Yeah.
And I sent it over because the diamonds were taking forever. I'm like, who else? Oh.
Yeah.
That
that guy that was wasted at that event.
The drunk dude with the spiky hair.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't remember if you or your partner that I sent it to first.
You sent to me, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then you guys were like, yeah, take a look at it.
Because we ran the numbers quickly on what you sent it at. Because we know if you a lot of times with stuff like that, you got to act quick on it. You have to,
Yeah.
So we looked at it, and
especially that type of niched out property.
yeah, and so the numbers penciled. They were close to penciling. They were extremely close for where you'd sent it at, based on what we thought we could get construction done for. So we analyzed it real quick, and then we were like, is this something that because we've never done anything that big at the time. That was the biggest thing we'd done at that point was our office building, which I think, oh shit, did we buy that? No, yeah, we'd had the office building before that. So the biggest project we'd ever taken on was our office building, which is in Gilbert. So it had 2 restaurants, and then it was a 3rd restaurant. And so the 3rd restaurant,
It's in a strip mall, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So the 3rd restaurant had gone under, so it was just sitting there. And so I drove by. It's right next to my house. And so I called there's a sign in the door that said for lease. And so I was like, hey, would you ever consider selling it? Because it's in the islands. I live in the islands, so I'm like, man, I could have like a 10-second walk to work every day. This would be amazing. So I called him, and he's like, yeah, I would consider selling, just because we knew that restaurant had been sitting empty for like a year. And like, based on what the value of the property was worth, I was like, okay, he's probably hurting right now. He's probably feeling it because he's got a 3,500 square foot building sitting empty.
Yeah.
Like, you're feeling that for sure. So he gave me his price, and same thing. We ran the numbers on that, and we're like, God, if these tenants are solid, like that pencils. Like, it pencils for the 2 restaurants to basically pay our mortgage every month. So we looked into the restaurants. They'd been there for 11 and 12 years. So like, they're not going anywhere. Like, they're always busy when I drive by all the time. So it's a sushi bar and a sandwich shop. So found out what the rents were, and we're like, yeah, this 100% pencils. So we did that, turned that into our office, completely gutted the whole thing, and made it pretty cool. Nice. So that was the first thing we'd ever done remotely close. So that was the 10 unit was extremely scary at the time.
Seller tried to back out last minute.
Yes,
So
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, no kidding.
The land for the land.
That.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
The land. So in the beginning, we were very upfront, like, hey, I'm not going to be the one buying this. We're going to sign it. She's like, I don't care as long as I get the money I need out of my debt. I'm cool. And she found out we were signing it. She's like, I never agreed to that.
Yeah.
I was like, so check it out. This is what's going to happen.
Did she see numbers?
Construction loan
Probably.
plus the purchase price sitting at the title agency. If you back out of this, everybody's going to sue you. She's like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, you have a development like literally at the door.
Yeah.
It's tough.
So we talked to our GCs. We talked to a couple of them, got some prices. We have one that did the build out for our office. We really like a lot, and we trust him a lot. So we went with his bid for the 10 unit. It's been going good. Obviously, everything moves slower than you want it to move, right? In construction, give me a break. That's just what it is. But it's moving along, and we're super happy with it. And I just told Anthony this. We got a call yesterday from a guy and he's like, hey, that 10 unit in Sedona. He's like, are you guys open to selling it? I was like, possibly if you make it worth our while.
Yeah.
Like otherwise we don't really have any interest in it because they hadn't thought about it like this. But I was like, the reason we're not interested, not too high on selling it is we plan on turning it into 10 Airbnbs. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Airbnbs, like with how they perform in Sedona.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I am. He's like, I hadn't even thought about Airbnbs with that property though. So I was like, yeah, well, we're kind of figuring 10 units are going to pull in $10,000 a month. That's going to be $100,000 a month before expenses. And it was really quiet. It's like, let me run my numbers. And he's like, let me run my numbers and I'll get back to you in a couple of days with what my offer will be. I was like, just letting you know, like you're gonna have to make a strong offer.
Make it worth a while.
Yeah, so I don't want to waste your time. So he's supposed to get back to us in a couple of days, and we don't want it. We have zero intentions to sell it. We don't want to sell it at all. But I mean, in this market, you walk with a couple $1 million in your pocket or something, we'll probably go ahead and sell that. So we'll see how it goes. So, but again, it's putting yourself in positions for things like that to come up, right? If you sit on the sideline the whole time and you like, the big thing that I'll say is like, you have to get uncomfortable, not only, coming here and stuff like that, but I mean, you have to get uncomfortable with literally everything that you do. Cause I mean, with purchases, with your business, cause once you get uncomfortable, that's when you're going to start really like, you'll see a lot of growth from that.
Luke.
Yeah.
Back to your direct to seller on wholesale.
Mhm.
Do you close 100% of direct to seller, or are you still assigning to end buyers?
No, yeah, you're saying, will we still buy assignments?
When you do wholesale, do you
Your
close or?
Your in-house deals.
Okay, yeah.
Are you closing 100% on them, or are you still assigning?
No, we'll still wholesale. Like we wholesaled one last week. We were gonna flip it, and we said we could use the cash right now. So yeah, we wholesaled one for it was 22,000 or something like that last week.
Based off the rates on what's going with commercial, and you have that property in Sedona, obviously I'm gonna ask the same question if I want to say the same thing. And this guy wants to buy it, and he's gonna pay a premium. Why wouldn't you be the bank on that?
Yeah.
I mean,
And again,
terms,
I'm not versed in creative at all, like literally at all. So
other
I mean,
than you borrow money, right?
yeah.
And then what
But I mean, in the
what
sense
do
of
those
like,
banks do when you pay them? They just collect your money. They don't
yeah, no, for
fund
sure,
it.
yeah. No, I hear you for
So
sure.
I'm just saying, you guys have this huge opportunity because you're providing so much value
Yeah,
in the construction that you're doing, that you have this huge margin there that you just get paid a high rate of return on your equity.
yeah,
Plus a bunch of cash.
right.
And then, so it's not, I think that would be, when that guy offers you that, I'm sure the numbers would be massive.
I mean,
You could arbitrage that big time.
I know. So we bought it for one. I just asked you this. Yesterday, 2 days ago. I think we bought it for 155. So 145. Anthony, what was that number?
1.55.
155. So 155 construction is going to be, I think the total number is $1 million. So I think we're going to be, and then hard money. So I think we'll be all into that thing somewhere in that ballpark. Like,
2.2.
yeah, 2.7.
With
With hard money to
at like 4.7, 4.5.
That's what we were thinking it would be
Even
worth.
with
Yeah.
the Airbnb rate.
No, that was before we talked about Airbnb.
So then you told him about the numbers for Airbnb. He's basing his numbers off of those numbers.
Yeah,
So that's going to even be higher.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
you could probably get paid all your money back with his down payment and then just get pure.
Yeah.
Are they
You
on?
could probably value to him because he's probably not going to be able to get a loan based off an Airbnb number that doesn't
No, yeah,
exist.
definitely won't for
So
sure.
I could kind of stay in that deal. What's that?
Can I buy back in?
Yeah.
No, you lost your chance when you took that $100,000.
Read the contract.
You took your quick 100, all right?
Because based on your
Additional
cost
terms and
basis-
conditions.
Based on your cost basis, you could sell him the numbers on the Airbnb
I
numbers.
know, and that's what we were
And
talking
then
about.
that's where you guys stay in and make the killing.
For sure.
God forbid something happens, you just take back your own property.
I know.
Brand spanking new.
Yeah. And so again, I'm not versed in the sense of knowing like creative. I've never done that route. I've never gone that route. And I know there's so much to learn
You're just
about it.
flipping yourself into the lending side
Yeah.
versus the other side.
For sure.
That's it. It's not
Yeah.
that hard.
Are you guys coming across like a lot of issues when it comes to because I know they're placing restrictions on Airbnbs in a lot of places.
Oh yeah.
Like is that something that
Yeah, so you just have to be really careful. So I mean, like, Iman and I have a podcast that we do every week, and we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Because some of the new restrictions that they're placing down is that if you get caught having a party at your Airbnb, and there's proof that you knew about it, that they can literally shut you down. They can put you on hold for a year. And
Really?
so if you have a high performing Airbnb and you take away its profitability for a year, it's going to crush you. It's going to absolutely crush you. So you just have to be really, really, careful with there's certain, I'm trying to think, there's like a camera company that they're doing now where like you can see how many people come into the property based off of, I'm trying to remember. So we had this on a podcast. So based off of like how many phones try to connect to the Wi-Fi, it'll know how many people walked into the property. And you can also do the camera too, but it'll be able to tell you like if people are trying to sneak in and stuff like that. And so it'll completely shut it down. You'll have the cops called immediately and they'll come shut down the Airbnb party.
That's a technology?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. It's insane. So I'll try to remember the name of it. It's on one of our podcasts. So
I would have gotten in so much trouble when
yeah.
I was little. That shit was around.
Right? Exactly. So yeah, so there's things like that.
Mom's house was always packed. Like always had to tell people.
Why is that?
No Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
people.
saw there was a device counter. You could just stick it on the wall and it would count devices. So
Yes.
you got 5 guests. Why do you have 28 devices?
It's basically something like that, right?
And then
Exactly.
there's another thing you stick on the wall, and it's like a decibel meter. So if the noise goes up for
Yep,
a party, then it triggers.
Right, yeah,
calls
those are-
the cops or whatever.
And it's probably the same guy that we talked to
It's like a
because it
combination.
was both of those things exactly.
Yeah.
Super cool. Like I think there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of opportunities that are going to present themselves with obviously how fast Airbnbs are growing. We talked to a guy a couple days ago, yesterday was Tuesday, and he started this company called Can Monkey. Have anyone heard about it?
Can monkey?
Can Monkey?
Oh, for the trash bins?
Yes.
Yeah.
This guy literally created a company, insane. So what they do is they literally it's basically like an Uber or a Lyft. So someone can take a route and you can literally sign up for all the trash cans. All you do is, because if you guys have Airbnbs, it is a pain in the ass dealing with trash cans. Guests don't put them out, or they forget to bring them back in. Javelinas knock them over, eat all the trash everywhere. That's what we get in Prescott all the time. But they forget to bring them out, and then you have the trash cans are completely filled, and you have new guests checking in with nowhere to put trash. So this guy thought of a problem that he had seen with Airbnbs, and all he does now is he sets up routes. He has an app, he has a company, and people sign up for the routes, and people pay monthly who own Airbnbs, and he charges $50 a month. And he has already 2,000 subscribers, and he does 30,000 cans a week right now.
And what does he do with them?
Brings them in and out. That's all.
He's a trash can bigger out guy?
All he does. The trash. No, I mean he doesn't do it, but he has people sign up for the routes. But yeah, so we did the math. Chris and I did the math on the podcast. It basically came out to be around $100,000 a month already for that property, or for the idea. He's only at 2,000 subscriptions. He's in 7 states and 40 markets. And the kid's he's my age, he's 30 or something like that. And we're like, dude, this thing's going to explode. It's going to explode. He's only been in business for a couple of years. We're like, dude, he's probably going to get to 20,000. He gets.
Sell it to a company.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I'm not hiring, so I don't want to go outside.
No, that's the thing. That's what's crazy. They're doing it for just homeowners now too. He's one of their biggest clients that they're going to go after is elderly people.
In July.
And you think about it, it's $50 for the month. That's $12 a week for someone to just take care of your trashes.
Crazy.
So it's insane. It's insane to think about, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities.
Creativity, right?
My
Curiosity and
kids would
creativity is
just
gonna.
hire them on their own, so they don't have to do it.
Right.
So before we wrap up, do we have any other questions? It's incredible to see the journey, right, from the beginning to the point where you're at and how you're developing, and how you've been able to just relate and then scale and expand yourself, the business, and the reach that you currently have. So that's awesome on its own. Do we have any other questions? Anything that's pending, just based off of everything?
When you're on the call with the motivated seller,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what makes them motivated, what are you typically running into nowadays? Is it probate? Is it?
No,
inheritance?
I mean, the biggest, we're talking to anyone and everyone still, like we are. But the biggest issue right now is still just the gap difference between where we need to be and where the sellers still currently believe their house is worth. And I mean, not even if they believe, I mean, their house still might be worth that. But again, this is not what we can pay right now. You know, for the previous 5 years or whatever it was, you know, we could, as everyone was doing, you were able to come up higher on your prices because people were selling them to hedge funds for stupid numbers.
Supply and demand.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, so right now, the biggest thing that we're seeing is just Susan still wants 450, but we have to be at 375. That's just still the biggest
But what
thing.
if you gave her 450 and she took 10 or 15% down? Or
And-
20% down.
This guy's
I know.
gonna this guy's gonna sell finance or something before the night is over.
Right, right.
Oh, why not? I just want you to have this conversation.
Yeah, no, for
So,
sure.
Well, you give her, so you give her 80,000 down,
Yeah.
and then she carries the 380,
No, yeah.
and then, or whatever that number is, math-wise, for the next 10 years. So now, is there a probability that the market turns 20% right now? Is there a probability that the market goes down 20% at the end?
Another 20?
Could it go down
I
20%?
could for sure.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, do the sellers that don't know what we know think that's even higher because they sit and watch the news every day?
Oh yeah,
No,
they get freaked
for sure.
out.
Very, very.
No, yeah,
So we'll
for
just
sure.
give you your number, but you gotta get paid over time and
Yeah.
it's secure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's what you guys were talking about right now.
So you're just giving them exactly what they want, but then they need to be in subordinate position.
Yeah.
Which if you don't know what that is, means that second lane's worth half anyway. So you're gonna end up getting it for half.
Yeah.
So we had-
You guys wanna talk creative financing? Talk to him.
Right.
Before you guys leave, it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, and
For
then I
sure.
have one more question. So has anybody talked about open door offer pad disaster that's going on, and do you think that's an opportunity to buy their assets?
You mean them dumping the properties that they have? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Someone said they had 1,600 homes that they have. I don't know the market. I haven't pulled the list.
If you look at the average house when you're comping houses right now, if you're comping houses anywhere in the valley, the average house that you're comping will have 5 open door actives right next to it. And they're all shit. Like they're not nice houses. You know what I mean?
They're habitable though.
But I'm saying they're not renovated though. You know what I mean? But yeah,
somebody
but
that's not bankable would love
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have that home.
Yeah,
and live
absolutely.
there forever,
No,
right?
for sure.
Okay.
But I mean, it's crazy though. It's insane to think about. So yeah, I definitely think there's something there.
Yeah, I think the more we progress in time, I mean, give it. I don't know. What do you say? 6 months?
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be blood in the streets.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so too.
people are getting scratches or scrapes right now, but there's gonna be blood in the streets coming up.
Well, and like you said to start with, you're seeing groups get a lot smaller because people are leaving the real estate industry left
Yeah.
and right.
Yeah.
They're leaving left and right. You take someone who did their first flip and lost 50 grand. They didn't have that money to lose 50 grand. You
Yeah.
think they're going to try to do another one? No way in hell. So it's
Scary.
like people that were wholesaling, people that were spending $10,000 a month or $5,000 a month in mailers, and now they can't get a single deal. Like I know guys that were spending $150,000 a month in TV marketing here in Phoenix, and they can't get deals anymore. So it's like you have people doing that, like, it's
They're
it's
just
rough right
having the
now.
wrong conversations and making the wrong offers.
If you were to have them seller finance,
Right? Yeah. Absolutely.
What type of mindset would you say? If you were kind of, we just said, you even said you guys are using on some flips.
Yeah.
What do you recommend as far, what type of mindset should somebody be, or what?
Yeah. So what we're doing, like I said, our goal right now is to get back to zero. We're trying to not dump, but like get rid of and try to make any money that we possibly can now on all of our flips that we had that were purchased with the expectations of a sale price out here, right? So the properties that were purchased in January, February, March, and then some in April, those are the properties we're just trying to dump and get rid of right now because we were expecting those to get a certain number, and now that number is 25% lower. Just it is what it is. It's 25%
Do you
lower.
have debt on those, or is hard money on all this? stuff?
Hard money on all of them.
Like 10%, 12%?
Yeah, most of those are only 10.
Okay.
So most of those are only 10%. But so yeah, we're trying to those ones get out as low as we can. Like I said, we just lost 80 grand on one flip. We lost 40 grand on another. So again, we're expecting we might lose 300-400 grand. We might lose 300-400 grand on those flips.
How would you get a lender to lend on your Sedona development if you guys hadn't done development of that sign before? How'd you build that rapport in that trust?
We brought in a partner that has done deals that size before.
What kind of loan is it for the Sedona property? Is it a typical construction loan or was it something different?
That one's just construction. Yeah, that one's SunWest Bank. SunWest Bank has the loan on that one. Yeah, but again, like you said, they had to have someone
You brought in
sponsor.
a partner that
Has done
has
that
experience, so they could go get that loan.
Exactly.
And work the partnership, so
Yep.
you can do what you're gonna do.
exactly.
So like
We're,
a key principle.
we're running
type
absolutely
deal.
everything.
Yeah.
He's based out of California.
That
the
money and
relationship.
experience, you
Yep.
just have the asset.
Exactly.
Like with 90% of most people that are in these courses have a deal, no money, no experience. no
Exactly.
credit.
Exactly.
Right.
If you have that,
We have
plug yourself.
we've got multiple connections for people like that. If you guys have any deals like that, we got multiple people that will lend big money. So that's why I always tell you we're always open to large stuff because we have people that'll partner up with us on stuff like that all day.
I'll get that in for you.
Let's do it.
Damn. Can you bring me in on that one? I mean, just let me know. Come on, we're at the same party, guys.
Turn it into 94 Airbnbs.
I was.
God, that'd be a management nightmare.
Imagine that. Yeah, 94 parties going on at like at the
Yeah.
same time. On,
Yeah.
I don't know, Independence Day or something.
Make
So-
the news and it'll look out even more.
Yeah.
Stay at the party house.
The spot,
Yeah.
right?
But so my recommendation though, again, of just what we're doing, we're getting to even, getting to zero on those properties. The new properties that we have purchased, we already have the new numbers in mind for those. Those are the ones that we're still believing that we're still going to make money on now because we ran them 25% lower, like I mentioned. We ran them with a buffer in the rehab and all that in the profits. So we're still buying. We're going to continue buying. We're going to continue flipping. But again, they just have to be no-brainer deals now. And what we're doing is we're sending out a ton of offers to wholesalers. We're not getting many of them back. We're probably, maybe we'll get 5% of them back. But again, you pop one, you pop two, you pop three of those that are no-brainer deals, and we have popped them. So like we have gotten, if we're sending out 20 offers and we get one back, but we can still make 70 grand on that flip. That's what we're doing right now.
One thing that we're doing on the wholesale side to prep for the offers, this goes back to what you were asking about earlier, is that we're right out of the gate, we're shaving off 10%. So if a property's worth, like the comps are, I don't know, $300,000, right? If you have solid comps of $300,000, when we look at the property, we'll deem it to be worth 270. And then work the numbers from that point, right? The 70% rule and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So we shave off 10%, and it like the offers get they get intense sometimes because I mean you're like you wanted 200, but I can give you about $76 for it.
Yeah, I know. all day long.
Yeah.
When you're looking at those offers and they want 300, how many of those people have a lot of equity or at least 20 or 30% equity right now?
A lot of them do.
Most-
like honestly, a
most
lot of them
still
do.
do.
They haven't
Most-
refinanced.
Yeah.
So they have really, really good term debt.
Yeah.
I know.
No, and that's
And
like
most of them are at 3 or 4%. So that's why they're not selling too. That's another stuff. Yeah.
yeah. The way that we work
But some
our
of those have to sell because they're moving or they're
Yeah,
dead
for
or
sure.
died or whatever.
Absolutely.
yeah, there's something going on. The way that we work them is our initial offer. We always go for the wholesale offer first. So we go wholesale offer. The second one, it's going to be an option offer. It's a little higher of an offer, price point, right? If that doesn't work, we move on to creative financing because we can offer more on that. I mean, I was talking to him about looking for even 10% equity on something like that, just with cash flow in it, and a couple of other key things, right? So, 3 ways of structuring a deal right out of the gate, and then if that doesn't work, I mean, we have a brokerage. We can list the property.
Right,
Apparently, that's what you want.
Yeah.
So you become this one stop, right, for problem solving when it comes to sellers. But yeah, you can't be a one-trick pony anymore.
No, you can't.
I love what you're doing at that higher level with the properties that you get. When you're making offers, right? If you're just making the wholesale offer, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You gotta have ways of pivoting. If you don't understand exactly how that works, partner up with somebody else who does. That's exactly what he did for that deal, and that guy made $100,000.
Asshole.
Asshole. After such a great night, man, he just like
Man.
takes you for $100K and
Unbelievable.
runs away.
Man.
But no, that's
$100,000 poker night.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's just crazy.
but that's how amazing things can be, and sometimes it gets rough. Sometimes, I mean, fuck, I know I get home sometimes and my head is going 1,000 miles an hour, and she knows that I'm just in my space, right? And sometimes it gets tricky, sometimes it gets tough, sometimes you just don't want to show up. You don't want to, put in the work because it's not, I don't feel like doing it today. Fuck that. That stuff doesn't work in the space that we're in.
No.
We have to show up every single day.
Unless you just want to leave like everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna, half-ass it, you're gonna fall off on the, first bump that you hit.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not what it's about. If we really, dive in and we start, connecting and having conversations, opening up to the people around us, I mean, you can have deals like that happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that came in from 3 other people that came to him.
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
it tripled, trickled over here. So keep that in mind. Yes.
I want to say something to you, bro. I appreciate you. I was going through the exact same thing. I didn't want to show up to the office. I didn't want.
Oh, bro.
And
Yeah.
then I messaged you about journaling.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think
Hell yeah.
Thank you, bro. Everything has been changing. Like,
Yeah.
things have been
That's awesome.
I love it, man. I love it. Thank you for that.
That's super
Love it.
cool.
Journal, guys.
Right?
Very big on that. So
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, brother. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you again, things get dark, but it doesn't mean that you can't, move through them, right? I mean, we're always going back to the drawing board when it comes to, systems and processes and improving and like, fuck, what do we need to do now? But it's if we don't have the answer to it, creative thinking will get you there, or somebody else who already did it before. It's important. Squat up, go to the meetups, masterminds, and anything that you can get your hands on, especially because right now it's imperative that we spend time in that space.
Oh yeah.
Bro, I have one question. I love this is my podcast question.
Uh-oh.
But if you were walking down the street and you ran into your 17-year-old self,
Ooh.
what piece of advice would you tell that kid?
Oh, I would have told myself to get into real estate at 17
Ooh.
and not 24, which I'm still happy at 24. But I mean, I don't know how old some of you guys are that are in here, but I mean,
Old.
I mean, like we've got.
Well, you gotta get mean, man.
But we got a guy that started working for us and he's 21, and I'm just like, man, I look at it like, I mean, and again, I'm blessed and I'm so happy that I got into real estate when I did. But I mean, if you guys are younger, if you guys are, I know some people get into real estate now at like 18, 19, 20, and it's like, if you just surround yourself with really, really solid people and you learn as much as you can, I mean, you're years and years and years ahead of everyone else, and you can do some dangerous things. You can do dangerous things at any age, but I'm just saying at 17, I would have told myself just go get into real estate.
Well, you're
immediately.
young, dumb, and full of motivation.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you so much, man. I mean,
course.
it's a real blast to just have an open conversation like this. If you took value out of this conversation right now, raise your hand. Fuck yeah. All right.
Perfect.
Bro,
Awesome.
boom. Thank you so much.
Appreciate
Let's give it up. Luke.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Bingo. That's a fun talk.
Yeah, for sure.